following podcast is being brought to you by the Defy Life Podcast Network.
Welcome back to Unsupervised, the spinoff. This week, your friendly neighborhood hosts welcome regular Scott from the fabulous Take a Knee for Marvel vs. DC podcast again to talk more about the NBA players taking a stand against the social injustices that are still prevalent in the United States and how the other major sports leagues have followed suit. Our wacky stat of the week revisits some more flawed laws. In petty party politics, just some politicians being petty. Nothing out of the ordinary here. And then we take a surprising left turn to talk about the fallout from the Epstein death. Don't forget to email us at unsupervised@godefylife.com if you have anything you want to add to the conversation. Now let us continue to be one nation and stand in solidarity against social injustice. Enjoy the show. I say it's this thing going, bro. I say mic check, testicles, 1, 2. Yep, there's the third one. Feel like we back in the building.
We back, man.
Back in this thing. Unsupervised, the spinoff podcast, brought to you by the powerful Defy Life Podcast Network. It's your boy, West Coast Jay. I'm in here with the wonderfulest of wonderful co-hosts, Hollywood P. What's good with you, Hollywood Paul Douglas?
Man, you know me, bro. I'm just chilling, man. You know, excited to be here. Got some stuff. We got some good stuff to talk about coming up, man. But I can't complain, brother.
I like it. And once again, for episode 25, we have yet another regular host, the one and only.
Wait, I thought last week was 25. What you talking about?
Last week was 24. I kept saying 25, but last week was 24. Okay. This time we're feeling it's the 25th episode, and we've got none other than from Take a Knee for Marvel vs. DC fame. We have the wonderful regular Scott. Scott, what's good with you?
Chilling, man. I'm doing all right. I appreciate you guys having me back on again, and I guess it was just meant for me to be on the 25th episode.
It was, man. It was.
You know, whether you spoke it into existence last week or whether it was really the 25th this week, I guess I was just meant to be.
Yeah, man. Like I know.
Either way, I'm glad you're here.
Yeah, man.
Appreciate it.
We're glad to have you. Again, this is Unsupervised, the spinoff podcast brought to you by the Defy Life Podcast Network. Feel free to check us out at godefylife.com for all of the written content, all of the articles and things that go along with it. You can check out all of the podcasts on the network at defylifepods.com. Make sure you go check out the gear at defylifegear.com. You know, people ask all the time, how can we support the network? To do that, you want to go to patreon.com/godefylife and become a patron. You'll be able to help us to maintain all of these shows, maintain the office in downtown Nebraska, make sure regular Scott gets his salary.
You know, I got mouths to feed, so.
He got mouths to feed and stuff. You know, he raising a tiny superhero.
Trying to.
So all of that going on now. Where can they find these podcasts, Scott? Where can they hear us?
You know, you can find your podcast at the Defy Life Pods. That's the hub, or you can download your podcast anywhere you get your podcasts: Apple Podcasts, Spreaker, Radio Public, TuneIn, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Stitcher. All those places you can find us. Leave us a review, 5 stars, like, subscribe, do all that good stuff. Spotify as well. Let's just throw them in there. You know, all those places you can find us.
Sounds good. You can also email us at the show here at unsupervised@godefylife.com. And I know our social media page has been popping. P, you want to tell us about that?
Oh man, yeah, the social media stays popping, man. I thank y'all out there, the listeners who are definitely supporting our page and going on there, like, comment, and sharing. Please continue to do so. We haven't announced the winner of our free hotel giveaway because, as you know, a lot of places just ain't open for you to go to no vacation. So we're keeping that running. So check us out at facebook.com//unsupervised spinoff podcast. If you just search that in Google, I promise you it will come up. Unsupervised spinoff podcast on Facebook. Please check us out, like, comment, and share. Tell your friends about it. Tell your neighbor about it, unless he's crazy and got a gun. But definitely please keep liking that. Please keep the activity going. I definitely appreciate it. Myself and Money, we're definitely running that page, trying to keep things going on there. I'm going to ramp up the funny on that and keep bringing some more polls for you guys because the last one was pretty good. I would definitely appreciate everybody that participated. So definitely check us out at facebook.com, Unsupervised Spinoff Podcast.
No doubt. Sounds good. So let's get right to it then. How was your week? Regular Scott, how was your week this week?
Man, it's been a good week so far, you know. Nothing crazy been going on. I've got to guest on a couple different podcasts this week earlier. So it's, I've been keeping me busy. Been talking to some of the coaches at my school I coach at, just kind of going over some things, laying some foundations for what we plan on doing as far as schemes, trying to do some similar stuff. So we've had it's been a pretty good week. Not overwhelmingly busy, but just busy enough to where it's kind of flown by.
I like it. Get through moving. What about you, P? How was your week?
My week was pretty cool, man. Laid back, I don't do much but work. Work on something. Work on getting rich. Work on increasing my knowledge and wisdom on things. Being a better person all the way around. So, I've had some good leaps and bounds this week in that aspect. So, just trying to keep that momentum going,
Nice. Look at you over here talking about betterment. Let's better ourselves. I like it. Let's broaden our minds. Well, damn. My week was relatively boring as a result. So, I've been doing a bunch of reading. I've been doing a bunch of Netflixing. I've been getting a bunch of gold guns and Call of Duty. Becoming a murdering bastard. It's great for
on a video game. Baby.
On a video game, right? Like not a murdering bastard in real life, but video game wise, I am ruthless. So,
I'd like to second that. I too am pretty ruthless.
Yeah, he's a murdering bastard. That's true. Our split screen game be outlandish. It is pretty ridiculous to watch. People who watch it are just like, dude, how are you guys even killing all this? Like, because we're murdering bastards. That's what we do. That's how we spend our time. So, yeah, man. It's been pretty chill overall, though. Like I said, the week has been pretty simple. And then I was trying to snuggle up yesterday and get good and comfortable and watch some NBA playoffs. And instead, what I was greeted with was an NBA protest. The Milwaukee Bucks, minutes before their tip-off, decided they were not going to come out and play in protest of the shooting of Jacob Blake in Kenosha, Wisconsin. Now, this was a man that was shot in his back at least 7 times. Some reports say 8. Some reports say as many as 4 hit him. But at least 7 shots were fired. This is a man that was leaning into his car to talk to his children, to tell them to calm down while the police were around. And the cop came and shot him in the back while he did it. So the Milwaukee Bucks, the Orlando Magic...
Yeah, the Magic were waiting on him out there on the court.
Yeah, man. Like before the Bucks even decided they were going to do it, the Magic were out there warming up. They were actually on the court, and somebody came out and told the players that were out there warming up, whatever he said to them, they just stopped warming up and walked back into the room, back into the locker room. And then minutes later, then we saw Chris Paul and Russell Westbrook have a quick conversation. They dip off into a room. They come out. And then the Rockets and the Thunder were no longer playing for the day. So then, obviously, the Lakers and the Blazers were no longer playing for the day.
Oh, you know King James gonna follow suit.
Then we get to today, where there was supposed to be more games. Nobody played today either. Now, I'm finding out as I go along that apparently the Lakers and the Clippers have considered boycotting the remainder of the season.
Yep.
Now, do you guys think that that's actually do you think that that's going to be a good idea, or should they maintain the bubble, keep playing, and make sure that they still have their platform where people are actually paying attention to them? That's really where my mind is I think they should maintain. They should keep going.
I agree with that.
So that people keep paying attention to what they're, because those post-game interviews have become pretty powerful. They're pretty poignant at this point. Like everybody, Doc Rivers gave an impassioned speech that almost led to, he was tearing up and everything. Chris Webber gave an impassioned speech, and then Kenny the Jet Smith walked off the set at TNT's at their NBA thing for the night.
Inside the NBA?
Inside the NBA. Then the Milwaukee Brewers followed suit, and they postponed their game as well. Then the NHL followed suit, and they have canceled their playoff games for Thursday and Friday as well. All of this in support of Black Lives Matter, of social injustice. They're all trying to change something. So, have we heard anything about what they've decided that they're going to do? Have we heard anything about how they're going to make more of a change in society yet?
No. All I've heard or read is vote. Vote to make a difference. I've heard, countless people say there needs to be laws in place, but I'm like, well, there are laws against murdering people, but they have to be enforced. I've heard talks of policemen needing insurance policies like doctors or physicians would have for malpractice, but I don't think that's going to change any damn thing, because right now we have laws that in prisons that are constantly being filled with people who don't follow those laws or get, entrapped by them or whatever the case may be. They still have to be enforced. So if you're going to constantly investigate an officer who does something or misconducts themselves internally, and then internally find, oh, he did nothing wrong, the insurance policy changes nothing, unless a third party is always going to conduct the investigating, which is what internal affairs and SBI is for. But we know how that works. They got so many different rules and bureaucracies in place so that hinder those people from actually doing their job. And who's to say none of them are corrupted as well or have been reached in some way? So as of right now, no, man. I haven't heard anything about what real change will come. And I hope that something does come very, very soon. I believe our company is well, technically we are a big corporation, but our country is at a big tipping point, and it can lead to a big mess. It's insane what's going on to me. It's one of the definitions of insanity when I look at things and how they are constantly repeating themselves, like a horrible version of Groundhog Day.
Yeah, man, that's definitely one way of looking at it, because no matter how many times we hear their names, George Floyd, Breonna Taylor, now Jacob Blake.
We're adding on more.
We just keep adding names to this list, but nothing seems to be happening. In the case of Breonna Taylor, those police officers still have not been arrested.
Mm-hmm.
In the case of Jacob Blake, rather, those police officer has still not been arrested, although there was a kid that was arrested in Kenosha, Wisconsin, because apparently while people were out protesting, a kid went out, 17-year-old kid, he went out and started shooting at the protesters. He is criminally charged. His name is Kyle Rittenhouse, and he is criminally charged with 2 homicide counts. This was as of yesterday. He went out and started shooting at the protesters. Like, what is that saying about our country as a whole?
And to add, that young man was like an intern of the local police department, very well known among the police. Like, could recognize him just by face. Type, know his first, last name, where he lives. Young man was also sitting front row at numerous Trump rallies. And to add, he was targeting Black Lives Matter protesters. White, black, Asian, Hispanic, no different. If you supported that, he had a problem with you. And
he says that
he was attacked.
He's a self-described Blue Lives Matter supporter.
Okay. And he ended up shooting 2 more people after he shot the one guy in the head, and he shot. A lot of people are trying to defend him and say, "Oh, he was attacked, and that's why he shot the guy." Well, he was attacked after he shot someone, and they tried to take the gun from him, and he ended up shooting more people that were trying to take him down. There were talks of him walking up to a police car after he shot the first victim, and the police drove right away from him. This young-looking man with a rifle strapped around his back at a peaceful protest. A cop could have easily asked him his age or for some ID, and they would have known right then and there, this man's out here breaking the law. He's obviously up to no good. Like I said before in shows, guns aren't the problem. Bad people with guns are the issue. And clearly he was one of them. And there were men and women there who could have stopped that and prevented it and did nothing. Maybe they were biased because they knew him. And I say that because the police chief released a statement and said, well, the protesters were out after curfew, as his first justification as to why one of them was shot. Not the boy made a mistake. Not that young man was outside of curfew, breaking that law on top of having a firearm illegally, on top of committing murder, on top of committing, assault with a deadly weapon, brandishing a firearm underage, illegally. None of that. Protesters were out beyond curfew. There's clearly a man that does not need to be in that position at all. There does not need to be an investigation. They need to lock his ass the fuck up for at least 30 days. I mean, we got to look at all this man's history at this point. If he'll say a comment like that, and that should let people know where the mentality is currently in this country because of what the lack of enforcing laws have gotten us. The letting people reign unsupervised. Like, you see how we can go left sometimes on the show. Imagine we had guns and lock you in jail cells and judges that people buy into a system to say, hey, you're going to do this or else. Like, it'd be the Wild West, kind of like it is now.
Yeah, man, it would end up pretty crazy. Like we do have guns and shit. Money on here, we almost always strapped up.
Oh, like I got a gun less than 5 feet away from me right now.
That's what I'm saying. Like, the Second Amendment is alive and well.
But I just don't use it to take out people that I don't like. I mean, motherfuckers I don't like, I just ignore because it costs me not a dime to pay them no mind.
Right. That's very true.
I mean, I've been threatened. I've been threatened in the last 2 weeks. Honestly, I'm just going to throw up probably about 28, 29 to 30 times, bro, being realistic, by my neighbor. Half those times, he had some kind of weapon on him. Not once have I ever drawn a weapon to defend myself against that man. Not once. I could have easily lured him into my yard to shoot him because he's annoying. He's an asshole. I could have easily goaded him into a situation where he put his hands on me and I had my gun. I could have pulled it and shot him right quick when he's out walking his dog. He sicked his dog on me, dude. Good thing I ain't no pussy. And I just sat there and cussed the dog out, and he knew he won't dealing with a bitch. So, animals know who to fuck with and who not to.
That part's true.
Good thing my father raised me to be the man I am. Because my neighbor would be dead if I was like that 17-year-old boy, or they had the mentality of these cops that constantly keep shooting people.
Yeah, man. Like, what goes into that kind of a mentality? I'm always concerned. I'm always wondering what kind of a person thinks it's okay to shoot an unarmed man in the back 7 times.
Well, at the end of the day, it's all going to come down to accountability. And the first question you ask about what's going to change, nothing's going to change until there is accountability. That's at the end of the day the only thing that's going to make change. Like that's what we want with Breonna Taylor. We want accountability for them we need more than just we made a mistake. Like somebody has to be held accountable for a life. And I don't know how to say it any clearer than that. Like that's all it comes down to, is that right there. That one word would solve every issue there is with law enforcement, with just the whole police force. If there is accountability for the wrong that's being done, because all cops aren't bad. If there's accountability, that's how you weed out bad cops. Not this.
Absolutely.
That's how you do it. You hold people accountable for mistakes and when they mess up. And there's just been way too many mess ups that there's just been no accountability for. There's been slaps on the wrist. That's not being held accountable. No. That's not being held accountable. There needs to be prison time. Like there has to be accountability. So until that happens, there will be no change.
Now I saw something. I think it was on CNN's social media. Someone had made a comment on Twitter saying that if cops were held to the same enforceable laws that us regular citizens are held at, you got many people who wouldn't be cops. And I'm like, well, obviously those people don't want to be held responsible for the fuck shit they're doing. If they were doing what they were supposed to do and made a mistake, obviously things would be discovered within investigations. Doctors are held to a higher standard than most. When they mess up, like they'll lose their livelihood. Sometimes they'll go to prison, depending on how bad they messed up. And then, of course, they have to pay a lot of money. But you don't see any shortage of people trying to go to med school, do you? No. So I don't understand that notion that if cops are held accountable, we will lose out on a lot of people trying to be cops, but crime won't go anywhere or take a break until more are there. I don't believe that one bit. I believe that there are a lot of good cops. Well, excuse me. There are a lot of cops that have good intentions, but that gets drowned out because there's so much bullshit going on where there's no accountability.
I mean, if you can act with impunity, you can do whatever you want. It's almost like saying that it's human nature to abuse that power.
People only do what you let them.
Right.
They're only going to do what you let them.
And so if we
let them do it so long.
Right, and we're supposed to look at the police as protection from wrongdoing, but we keep getting more and more examples of the police being the perpetrators of wrongdoing.
Well, the Supreme Court deemed that the police's sole job and duty is to uphold the Constitution. Every cop, no matter state, city, county, that's your job, your sole duty. Well, let's go back to the Constitution. What are black people considered as in the Constitution?
Yeah, originally written as 3/5 of a man.
Yeah, I think they're still current, sir. So if that's their sole job, are they not doing that? Are they treating us according to how the Constitution defines us? Would you have the same compassion toward a black man as you would someone who wasn't three-fourths of a man? Is that why they're not being held accountable? You only shot three-fourths of a man. You didn't shoot a whole man. Why should you have to go to prison for that? I'm just asking these questions. I don't know the answers.
Yeah. Well, I think there's no accountability because right now we're in the middle of a political warfare. You know, that's the second part of why there's no accountability is because right now, especially right now, it's all about politics. It's all about what side you're on instead of trying to do the right thing. It's which side said this. Okay, then I'm going with the opposite side. You know what I mean? Like, and that's not again, that's not everybody. There's just the people in charge. Like that's what they're pushing. Like it's about who said what, and that's what's become the most important thing in these things. Instead of what do we need to do to get these people to be held accountable? Like what steps do we need to take? Like, and accountable is going to be the word of the show because that's what it's going to come down to. And until that happens, this political warfare is going to be what decides everything.
So at the end of the day, this is all becoming very, very, very politicized. Jared Kushner, one of the White House, I guess, advisors, correspondents, whatever you want to call them, literally said that the NBA players, he basically just dismissed their strike or their walk-off completely, saying that they were very fortunate to be in the position to be able to just take the night off work. So from the political side, it's a luxury, according to Jared Kushner. So this is the president dude's son-in-law. So clearly he's speaking at least on behalf of the administration.
Administration, yeah. I mean, that's what a lot of people, certain people have automatically gone there. When the NBA did it, such rich black oppressed millionaires was the constant thing. When hockey did it, it was okay. Now these rich black millionaires are obviously affected these other guys. Then WNBA, the WNBA went on strike. It's going to change racism in this country. Said no politician ever.
Yep.
Baseball started doing it. A lot of individuals would say, no one pays attention to baseball anyways. It's not even a real sport. Now it's not a real sport.
I ain't never been a big baseball fan to begin with, so.
Neither. But I respect what they're doing with their platform and what
I do respect. Oh, definitely. But I probably would have been one of those that would have been like, yeah, baseball ain't that, it's only got.
We in racism. Baseball's, protesting up, racism ended. Like said, no one ever. So, I get that notion, and it's fucked up and insensitive as hell to dismiss them like that or try to downplay who they are and what they're doing, what they're sacrificing, which is a lot. It's a lot that they're sacrificing. But will it change anything? I hope it prompts someone, at least locally, to do something. Especially what the Bucks did. If they continue it, I mean, that's a big business in that state alone. But will it change anything? I hate to be that guy to say something, but I don't think so.
So my question then becomes the NFL. What do you think, if anything, the NFL is going to do? Because today they canceled practices. But do you think that the NFL's owners the NFL as an organization, do you think that they're going to be able to do or say or whatever, anything that's going to be able to equal the magnitude of what the NBA players have done?
No, and I don't think they need to, because, I mean, I think right now the players who have the platform are using the platform. The NFL guys, right now that shouldn't even be, considering what's going on, a focus right now. So if they don't want to practice, that's cool. Let them do that. But I don't think they should be. I don't think it should be a thing of whether they can kind of compete with what's going on, because I think the NBA guys are doing about as good of a job as you can as far as and baseball and all sports. Let me rephrase that. All sports are doing as good as a job as you can as far as showing, solidarity and being united in this front. So I think football is doing fine. And when their time comes, then it's a different ball game. But as of right now, I think they're doing okay. Just let them kind of sit back in the background.
Just sit back and watch it unfold.
Yeah, and watch it unfold and kind of see how the cards lay out. Because, listen, as much as there's a good chance it won't happen, there is a chance that we get the accountability that we asked for, and we don't need to continue, the protest. And that doesn't mean we stop asking for change, but we don't need to continue the protest at this level, at this magnitude. And we may not need a sports team to boycott a game. So, I think they should just kind of sit back and see what happens and hope for the best.
I mean, we've been hoping for the best for some time now. This conversation
all we
has been
can
going
do,
on
though.
for a long time.
That's all you can do.
First time any athletes have protested.
I mean, at this point, you have to be prepared for the worst. Going and expecting it, but you always got to be optimistic and hope for the best, though.
Right.
You got to, because without, no optimism, then there's no point in fighting.
That makes sense.
So hope. Right.
Yeah, there's no hope.
Well, that makes sense.
I'm the superhero guy, so I'm all. It's all about hope with superheroes.
This is true. You are, in fact, the superhero guy. For a regular guy, pretty superhero-ish. So, with that, let's go ahead and go into a commercial real quick. Go ahead and pay some of these bills. So, y'all stay tuned. Episode 25. We'll be right back.
If you're into all things comics, you have to check out Take a Knee for Marvel vs. DC, your go-to podcast for comic and superhero discussion, debates, polls, and more. Tune in as Regular Scott and Ozzy Killmonger chat about your favorite comic topics, and you never know who may show up for an open mic or what will be next on their favorite One Gotta Go. Take a Knee for Marvel vs. DC, every Sunday, powered by the Defy Light Podcast Network.
Welcome back to episode 25, this time with Feeling, unsupervised the spinoff podcast. Make sure you check out Regular Scott and Uncle Oz on the Take a Knee for Marvel vs. DC podcast. It's one of my favorite things, I can't even lie. They find some of the most interesting angles to talk about stuff. In the little creator series you got going on this for the last month or so has been pretty interesting to listen to.
I appreciate that, man. That's a nice little plug right there. Thank you.
Right. And for our cheap plug of the week, at some point somebody mentions wrestling in a sentence, and then this happens.
Well, I have a second, anytime somebody brings up wrestling, it always brings up, since TNT is a station that plays wrestling and basketball, which we were talking about earlier with the protest. They also have All Elite Wrestling, which we talk about on the Showdown Pro Wrestling podcast with myself and JD. Cheap plug.
Professional cheap plug artist. That's what you do. Love it. But yeah, seriously, y'all, check out Take a Knee for Marvel vs. DC. They always bring out some interesting things that you might not have been paying attention to. Speaking of interesting things, y'all ready for some wacky stats? Well, in this case, we're going back to the wacky laws.
Wacky laws.
Wacky laws.
Yeah, I'm ready for this one. Last week was great.
So, in the state of North Carolina, a bingo game being conducted or sponsored by a commercial organization may not last more than 5 hours. However,
Bingo!
according to the North Carolina State Legislature, nonprofit groups, man, they can host a 12, 13, 14-hour bingo marathon.
So, at some point in time, somebody got stuck in like an 8-hour bingo game and was like, I'm never doing this again.
I almost feel like it's somebody's mom or like somebody's mom or something like that. And they just went home and complained about it. And so the lawmaker was like, you know what? They ain't never doing that shit again.
If you vote for me, I promise you, there will never be another 14-hour bingo night again. Not unless.
It's the Karen law.
That's what it sounds
That's
like.
what it sounds like. It does, in fact, sound like a Karen law. So, Virginia's the state of lovers, right? Isn't that what it's
Yes,
called?
we
A
are.
state for lovers?
Yes, we are. That's exactly what we are. We're all about love.
Did you know that in the state of Virginia, fornication or sex is completely banned except for married couples? It's still technically punishable as a misdemeanor.
Come on, man. Hey, look, there's no way they could enforce this rule if they wanted to, or this law if they wanted to.
I mean, but my question becomes then, like, what does the cop get called for? Dead serious.
Usually, I just caught this dude fucking my daughter.
Okay.
Oh yeah, I could
Okay.
definitely see that one. Yep.
Okay. That makes
Or
sense.
a jealous boyfriend or a jealous girlfriend. Yeah, I think there's these people out here fucking in a car or something like, or fucking somewhere and just make up something. Cops get there, and you know if it's indecent exposure, I want to press charges. They go to the magistrate, fill out the forms, and that's something I can see that could be enforceable. It would be on some Karen type shit, but it would definitely be enforceable.
I love that
Definitely-
2020 is the
definitely
year of
another
the Karen shit.
Especially if you're
Yeah,
fucking at school. You
Definitely
know what I'm
another
saying?
Karen law. Definitely another
Definitely.
Karen law.
Absolutely. It could be a jealous boyfriend, jealous girlfriend. That's why that law got passed. You know? I don't want nobody having sex in the state unless they're married. I can't get none, can't nobody else get none either.
If I can't get a nut, ain't nobody getting a nut.
Nobody.
But it could be like the president from Liberty. You know, sometimes they just like to watch.
That's hilarious. We're gonna switch over to Washington, the state of Washington. Check this one out. Doors to nearly all public buildings must open outward.
What?
Yeah. Anyone who violates this faces a misdemeanor charge. And it tries to explain why. It's to avoid congestion during emergencies like fires. So that's
There's a lot of fires there.
But why is that a law when you can just rig the door to only go one way?
I mean, it's Washington.
Okay.
Washington State. Is it Washington State or
Washington State, yeah.
District of Columbia? Oh, okay.
Washington State. Now, the state of Texas, we already know they've got some interesting rules going on, but people wishing to run for office must acknowledge the supreme being. If not, they could be subjected to religious tests. Basically,
And that's hilarious.
supreme being?
Separation of church and state.
right. Basically,
you're
no
talking about
atheist
God,
can
right?
run for
You're talking about
office
God.
in Texas.
Nope.
Right.
That's what that sounds like.
So, South Carolina, this was for you. Any male over the age of 16 cannot seduce a woman by falsely promising to marry her. However, no law exists when the gender roles are reversed.
Sexist.
That's just sexist.
Sexist.
Chauvinistic laws. You
I
bastards.
demand that law be looked at and changed. I want equality for that law.
Right? You want a girl to be like, I'll marry you if you give me some.
Yeah, and I want her to get a misdemeanor too if she don't. If I don't get the booty, she's getting a misdemeanor.
Oh wow! All right, check
That's
this
a
one
Karen
out.
law.
What's the guy's name? What's the male equivalent of a Karen?
I don't know.
A Kevin? A Kevin?
I thought it was a Karen and a Kevin or a Karen and a Ken or something. I don't know. Let me look it up. That's interesting.
I feel like you can't use Jared because he's the Subway guy. What did he do? He's a child molester, right?
He was a child molester. He had child porn all over the place.
Yeah, he's worse. He's worse than a Karen.
Karen and Kevin, or Karen and Ken.
So, Ken. Ooh, Ken.
Yeah.
So what we going with, Ken or Kevin?
That came up with a Kyle.
Oh, okay. So So what we going with? We going with a Kyle, Ken, or Kevin? We got to make a big decision right here because whatever we go with, we got to stick with.
Let's go with Kevin.
I like Kyle. You like Kevin? I like Kyle.
I like the Karen and Kevin.
And the worst part is, I was gonna go with Ken.
I like Ken too. The old fashioned Ken doll. That's what puts me in the frame.
That's what I was
everyman. That's what Ken represented.
That's hilarious.
All right, so we got Kyle, Kevin, and Ken. I
vote for Ken too. I like.
That might be a poll. That might be a Twitter poll.
Yeah, that might be something to do. That might be something to put out there.
Let the audience decide what we need to go with. What y'all need to go with. From here on out, it'd be the Karen and the blank.
The Karen and the Ken, or the Karen and the Kevin, or the Karen and the Kyle.
Mm-hmm.
Which one is it? Well, audience, we're going to leave that one up to you. Feel free to email us, like I said, unsupervised at godefylife.com. Let us know what you think. But since I'm still on this law thing, the state of Alabama has a group of laws that might be my new favorite thing. In Alabama, it is illegal for a driver to be blindfolded while operating a vehicle. Like, I can't figure out if that's the most amazing thing I've ever heard or the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard. It's one of the two.
I just want to know how many of these laws were created because they happened.
Something happened. Right. That's what I want right now. That had to have happened for them to make that law.
What?
Like,
how and why?
Did you lose a bet? Whose idea?
Frat party type shit. I don't know. I'm just thinking of wild, crazy shit. A bet. Yeah, something like that. It had to be.
Check these out. I'm gonna stay in Alabama for a little bit. Check these out. You may not have an ice cream cone in your back pocket at any time.
What?
I guess I appreciate them looking out for me, but I don't think I've ever had the notion or the thought to put an ice cream cone in my back pocket.
Like, who was the first person to do that?
Where that picture at?
Right.
Why is that picture not viral and circulating?
It's like, Your Honor, I couldn't make it to court. I had to go change my pants. Why? I had an ice cream cone in my back pocket.
And I forgot.
Sat on it and smeared everything everywhere, man. I forgot all about it, man. What was it doing there, son? I was saving it for later, Your Honor.
I mean, like, was he carrying two, and then he put the one in his back pocket?
Right.
What?
Like, I mean, the save it for later technique is the part that's cracking me up more than anything else. Like, you know what? I want some ice cream, but I want it later.
It couldn't have been a hot day then. Couldn't have been a hot day.
It couldn't have been a hot day at all.
Must have been winter.
More Alabama for you. Boogers may not be flicked into the wind.
Somebody did that. And got on the wrong person, and they snapped.
So if I'm standing across from somebody and I feel like they look at me wrong and I put a booger on my face, I'm gonna call the cops and say this dude flicked the booger in the air and it hit me.
Yep. This is what happens if you are in Alabama. You can pull that off.
How are they gonna know if he didn't? Like, how is he gonna prove them wrong?
They'll take a sample of the booger and DNA test it.
Come on, man.
Wow.
Come on.
I don't know, man.
You get over here. We got Q-tips on deck. Come here.
I We gotta take a sample of that booger time. Then the evidence. So we get his little ass.
We need a milk sample.
Man, I would love to hear some of the conversations of these calls, like the police responding to some of these calls.
Dude,
He flicked a
911
booger
calls.
on me.
The
So my
911
thing
calls.
is, it's illegal to flick the booger. What if I just blow a shit out my nose?
Yeah. Like, what if it's a pure snot rocket? You know what I mean? Like a pure
Right.
one.
Well, we fighting
Let's
anyway.
give you a-
We fight. We fighting
We
anyway.
fight on site, but you
Yeah,
can't
if it's
call
a
it.
snot rocket, we fighting anyway. So
I ain't
you might as
getting
well
booger
call the
something.
cop. Now, if a booger you flick in the air hits me, all right, we might just have words, and I can probably deal with that. But if you throw a full snot blob at me, we fight.
Oh, I'm
Yeah, that
flicking
makes
one
perfect
back.
sense.
Best believe.
we
Hey,
fight.
now you might have to get old school held down like a bully, like just old school held down while I pull. I'm digging
like
all the way
Right.
for gold. I
Right,
need you to have
right,
this right
all the
here.
way in, and I'm gonna put it right on your face.
Yeah,
I need it on
Yeah.
your forehead.
yeah. If you want to.
Here's another Alabama one that cracks me up a little bit. You can neither play solitaire nor dominoes on Sundays.
What? How are they?
Okay,
So
the
what's
dominoes I can understand. There might be like no gambling.
Yes, I was going there. I was going there.
Yeah,
Maybe a gambling ring got busted.
But the solitaire,
But solitaire though, you can't even play cards by yourself.
I can't rock with that one.
I don't get that.
Cannot play cards by yourself.
They must be trying to push hearts.
So
They must be trying to
They do.
push hearts.
they're dead
That was
serious
good.
Spades fans out there. That's what it is.
Yeah, they must be.
That was good.
Trying to
That was
push
good.
something else.
All right, check this one out. This is Arkansas. A man can legally beat his wife, but not more than once a month.
That's not real.
Oh my god. Why?
Like once a month though. Just what happened? The bitch just it was Tuesday. She know what she did. I'll see her again in September.
All right. She better not be walking no more doors this month. I know that.
There's a law that promotes abusing women.
Legally beat your wife in
Legally.
Arkansas, but you can only
Once a
do it
month,
once a
though.
month. I wonder if that was designed by a male legislator who just did not enjoy the visit from Aunt Flo.
That's a good guess.
Like I feel like that's where that came. Like he was going home trying to get him some, and she was like, "It's my time of the month." He beat the shit out of her and was like, "You know what? It should be legal for me to be able to do this."
That's definitely a Ken law.
That's a Ken law.
I don't like. You know what?
Definitely a Ken.
You know what? I don't like Ken. I don't like it. Now that I said it, I don't know if I like it.
It's a Kevin law.
Now that I like Kevin. I think I like Kevin. I think the Kevin and Karen works.
Oh my god. Yeah, man. So I mean, we could sit here and literally do this all day, just stupid laws. In Florida, it is illegal to have sexual relations with a porcupine.
Oh my god. Someone did that.
Somebody did
I
that.
believe it. I believe that. Dude.
What state was that? Was that Florida?
Oh, we're in Florida.
Florida.
Oh yeah.
Check
Oh,
this one out.
Yeah, somebody definitely fucked the porcupine.
I mean, it's Florida. Come on.
Yeah,
They
definitely.
do a little bit of anything.
What are you doing? I'm fucking this porcupine, man. See what happens.
So I've always
They know
wanted to
shaking.
know about this prickly dick. I'm going with the prickly dick technique. In Florida, you may not kiss your wife's breasts.
What? I would be in fucking prison.
In Florida, it is illegal to sing in a public place while attired in a swimsuit.
So you don't be singing at the pool, pretty
You
much.
can't sing at the pool.
So wait a minute. You can
These niggas.
sing. You can sing if you got balling shorts on, but if you got swimming trunks on, you can't sing.
Correct.
If those were bought for swimming, son, you're out the law.
Correct.
You're out the law.
Okay. Now let me go with a pure Florida law right here. If an elephant is left tied to a parking meter, the parking fee has to be paid just as it would for a vehicle.
Damn it.
Ladies and gentlemen, Florida.
I'm done. I'm done. Like
Florida's-
Florida pisses me off.
Florida is the greatest. They are the
And the
absolute
worst at any
most
given time.
ridiculous thing that could ever happen.
Florida could 100% be its own little small country.
Oh yeah, well the best part about it is Florida could legitimately be two different countries, because South Florida is completely different than Panhandle, Florida.
There you go. There you go.
Like completely
There
different.
you go.
Anything that's
It's
not
only
in,
it's only a matter of time before they leave us. But it's
right. Anything that's not in Miami-Dade County or not in Orlando, the rest of Florida is pretty ridiculous. Jacksonville stole a SWAT van. Like, they're pretty ridiculous as a whole. So, yeah, that was clearly a whole bunch of wacky laws.
But speaking of Florida, that's a perfect segue.
It is kind of a perfect segue for Florida. I wish I had something more Florida-based. I don't. I don't. Florida itself is...
Orlando, the bubble.
Yeah, I was trying to set you up. You know, I was trying to give you a softball.
I mean, I swung and missed. It's all right.
You made contact. You definitely made contact.
People miss, you know. It was a dribbler to the second baseman. It's all good. But, yeah, so petty party politics. How about Mark Short, Chief of Staff to Vice President Mike Pence, and White House Counselor Kellyanne Conway said that the NBA's move was absurd and silly. And Mark Short says, if they want to protest, I don't think we care. And these are the people who run the executive branch. You guys got any comments on that? Do you think that that we don't care?
I think that people like that make our system that we are trying to use to govern our society a fucking joke.
How much of the world is laughing at us? Like how many times do you think that somebody in another country somewhere is just like, are you watching the Americans today?
All the time, bro. All the time. If you go on social media and you stumble upon comments of people who are like living in other countries, you check their profile, you see what they're saying. Some of them are like shocked that this shit is actually real. They think it's like stuff made up for TV. And another part of them are like, y'all country is just fucked. I know we're not perfect, but at least we don't do that. You know what I'm saying? Like certain things, like especially in like Africa, man. Like so many Africans, especially when guys get shot and shit like that, like yo, this don't happen in our country because we go see about that shit, like to their fucking front door. There is no vacation. There is no administrative leave. Like that motherfucker's either gonna stop being a cop that day, or his ass is he's gonna die. Like they look at us and laugh. Truly, they do.
So
I think they're over us.
That too. A lot of
I think they're over us. They're like, I mean, what they're probably at this point. Other countries are looking at us and saying, like, what else could they really do wrong? Like, what else can they really do? Like, this is unbelievable. They're probably tired of hearing about us on their news stations because I'm sure the nonsense that goes on here is topics. Because it's talking points. Like, this is what not to do. This is how not to act. This is how not to respond to things. Like, I think other countries are over us and overhearing about us. That's what I think.
I agree.
And I wish
a lot of people on social media. A lot of people on social media are like, when will you people get over this shit? You know what I'm saying? I mean, you have some folks in Canada talking like Canadians are racist as shit, and they're like, yeah, but when certain things come out in the publicly, it's not tolerated. Like we know certain things are going to go on behind closed. Certain businesses may act a certain way, and yada yada. But when it makes it to the public and everyone knows about it, it is no longer tolerated. That's a interesting take.
Yeah, it definitely is. The other thing that's been cracking me up a little bit is Mike Pence was supposed to be a commencement speaker at Wisconsin Lutheran College, and the students and the alumni disinvited him. Dropped him as the commencement speaker, citing the unrest in Kenosha in particular.
Wow.
And for that, I got a good for you guys. Good for you guys. Other than that, there's really not much. The Republican National Conference is going on. The RNC is going on. Apparently, they are touting fear. Has been a common theme from the Republicans.
Right. You want this you're going to get this kind of stuff in the Biden's nation. People are going to run the streets and loot and do what they want in Biden's nation. It's like, well, that's what's currently happening now under President Trump's administration. But okay.
Right. It's like.
But what's crazy is social media. People are eating it up. The people Trump supporters are eating that shit up.
Oh yeah.
Not surprised.
I figure at this point, Trump supporters are Trump supporters. They're just with dude. 100%.
I don't even think they're Trump supporters. They're supporting anyone who says anything remotely close to how they feel. It could be anyone up there. As long as they're saying that same rhetoric, they're going to support them. No matter who it is.
But I do think there is something about Trump that like empowers them and makes them feel. Maybe, but it's something. You have to give the devil his due. There is something about Trump that draws those people to him and make them want to follow him. Like they will follow Trump wherever he goes. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like there's something
like a rock star, almost.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, there's something about him that whether it's his charisma to them or something, there's something about him that just has enamored them, and they will follow this guy no matter where he goes. So, I don't think you could put anybody there. I think he was the perfect guy for what they wanted. As bad as that sounds, but that's what he was. He was loud. He was obnoxious. He was not going to change his mind no matter what he saw. Doesn't
apologize, doesn't give a fuck.
Doesn't apologize. This is a guy who put out an ad for the Central Park Five calling for for them to be arrested and tried and taken, even though the evidence pointed against him. Like, we've known how he feels for a while. Like, this isn't nothing new. So his people latch on to him. And I think whoever he supports after he leaves office, that's going to be a huge boost. Like he has a good amount of followers that are just going to follow him, and it's almost like a cult like following.
Yeah,
not all of them. Yeah, not all of them, but most of them. There's a strong cult like following to where he just can't do any wrong, and you can't look at anybody like that.
Yeah, I agree with that. That was literally the word I was going to use was cult. He's like a cult leader at this point. Because the people that follow him blindly. Like, it's just they don't. He can do no wrong. Everything he says. Everything.
It's always hilarious when they show that video of him when he's a little younger and he's saying, if I ever ran for office, I would run on a Republican ticket because they're a bunch of idiots and they believe anything I said. I could kill somebody in the middle of the street and get away with it, and they would still support me and still vote for me. And then they keep running that over and over. And every time they show, those reporters would go on the street and do street interviews, and they show that little clip, the responses are always like, well, I mean, he didn't kill anybody, did he? They just don't get it at all. They don't get it at all. It's like, oh, my God. It's funny. I have to laugh at it because of how sad it is,
Let Obama say that exact same thing.
Oh, my God.
The exact same thing. Let him say the exact same thing. I just imagine. Oh, no question. No question. There would have been multiple attempts on his life.
like repeated over and over again. He would spend a whole bunch of time ducking and dodging bullets.
I mean, no question. Like, and
these are
that's
the same people that hung put a puppet. Wasn't a puppet or something like that? That was in a noose. They hung on the White House gates.
Yes, and
Yeah.
that's why I use the cult like word, because like they're going to believe what he says, and if he says anything about anybody, like it's gospel. You know what I mean? Something clicks, and they're like, "All right, I got it. I'm with you. It's gospel. You don't have to tell me again." So it's a scary thing, man. It's a scary.
I'm a troller on social media, dude. I will troll the shit out of someone. But while I'm trolling, I always just like take in comments to see, you know, where just let me gauge the vibe out here. Let's see what people are thinking. And don't let LeBron James say something about, you know, what's going on in our world, good, bad, or indifferent. You will see over and over. Well, he's a piece of shit. The president already told you guys that. It's like, whoa. The same president that defrauded a whole school when LeBron just built one? Man. You know, it's like, wow, man. Come on, man. Really? Like, come on. Like, dude, come on. Like, I saw your profile. You literally have Jordans on your feet. Jordan ain't never built a fucking school for nobody, okay? Like, come on, man.
Well, never forget, Jordan is the one who said the famous quote, "Republicans buy shoes too."
He did.
You know, Jordan ain't taking no stand to lose those sales.
No. Remember, what's my man's name that gave the letter to the president when they won and they blackballed his ass? You know, he went to Mike, he went to Magic, and he went to someone else and said, "Look, we all need to protest."
Was it Action Jackson? Was he Action Jackson before he changed his name? Was it Sharif?
Not Sharif. Sharif was the. It was Sharif.
Yeah,
Abdul something was. He was the shooter. This guy was dark skinned. He gave a letter to the fucking president, and after that, he played in the NBA no more.
Yep.
He gave a letter saying basically we need to do something about, you know, inner city youth in urban areas and get more funding and better policing and things like that. That motherfucker didn't play not one more minute in the NBA. He was fired before the plane landed back in Chicago. And he went to Michael and Magic and all them, said we need to protest. Went to Bird and all them. Bird didn't respond. Michael told him you're crazy. And Magic said, I don't think this is the way we need to do it. Like, well, damn. That happened. Yeah. Michael don't take no stand. But now, you know, a lot of people can argue, okay, he's trying to infiltrate the Billionaire Boys Club. Now he has more influence. You know, he's reaching out to the players union, asking for the owners, like asking, what do you guys want to happen? What are you guys looking to accomplish with doing this? What do you want us to do?
It was Craig Hodges.
Craig Hodges did that. Yep, Craig Hodges.
Wow, I forgot about Craig Hodges. That's funny.
Yep, he gave the letter out. When they went to the White House to meet the president, he gave the letter to the president personally. Like, here's this letter. When the president looked at it and read it, he didn't say nothing. He just stood right there and looked in his eyes and waited on him to finish reading it. He was like, thank you for giving this to me. And then they all kind of like took a picture and stood around the table as they get their food. And then next thing you know, that was the last we ever saw of him. Contract was voided. It was done. It was over.
He was a 3-point champion, too.
He was.
Yeah, Craig Hodges was a shooter. So apparently this is done, since we brought up MJ, apparently he's they're saying that he's the bridge, the liaison between the players and the owners.
That's what I'm just talking about. Yeah. That's what you guys want to happen? What do you want to do? What do you want to see from this?
So he's the one that's reaching out to Chris Paul. He's the one that's in the room with the owners talking to him. And so
he should be.
He should be. He is like legitimately. He should
be.
Jesus. You know, he is the majority owner of the Charlotte Hornets, so there's no reason why he shouldn't be the person. He's also been a player. He's also a community icon. He's a leader as far as everybody can tell. He's got credibility with both players and ownership at this point, you know?
I mean, yeah, man. You can't be called a GOAT, the greatest of all time. You stand idly by and do nothing.
This is true.
Come on, man.
This is all very true.
Yeah, and you're a billionaire? Come on, bro. You gotta do more than that.
Well, I don't know that we can do more with this, so maybe time to give episode 25 a nice little closing. So with that said, you know,
We
regular
ain't
Scott.
talk no ball. We ain't talk no hoops.
Man, we ain't got no main topic tonight, man. We ain't got no main topic. What's going on?
Not for real.
We unsupervised like a motherfucker.
Right. You know what I mean? Like the hoop done stopped. The conventions are almost over.
Well, do you think hoop will start back up again?
Yes. They're supposed to start playing again tomorrow, Friday.
Okay.
Yes. So these 2 days were so that the players could sit down and talk with each other and find out what they wanted to do next. And like I said, more than anything,
the break right now, this do you think this changes the trajectory of who's gonna win what, and move on and take the cut?
No, not really. Not really. I don't think this is going to be really all it did. In my opinion, all it does is give them a couple of extra days. But there are going to be some people that are in their heads. There are going to be some people that are. This is hurting way more than it appears. You know, the Republicans are trying to spin it as these are spoiled billionaire or spoiled millionaires trying to talk back. But the reality is, like, these are also still black men. Most of them are black men. So this has got to be, like, it bothers me, so I'd imagine that it's bothering them. It bothers y'all, and I'd imagine it's bothering them. There's going to be some people who are just in their head won't be able to get it out. But ultimately, no. I think that when they're playing, they'll be in their zone. They'll be focused on their goals. And then as soon as the game is over, then like LeBron's been doing the whole time, like anybody that they talk to has been doing the entire time, they are immediately Black Lives Matter. They are immediately talking about social injustice. They are immediately talking about voting reform. They're immediately talking about education reform. Like, they're talking about all of the different things that should be in the forefront of people's minds right now. Because here, what are we, 9 weeks away from the election now?
Something like it.
I think that's where we're at. How many weeks until the election 2020? We are looking at 9 weeks away, because we were 10 weeks away last week, so that makes perfect sense.
I think the world. I think we all need to rewatch and take the main story away from Four Brothers, and just watch how those four brothers recognize each other for who they are instead of what they look like. You can learn a lot from that movie. I think we should all just go back and rewatch Four Brothers.
Nice. There's a Four Brothers plug. You don't get those very often. That's nice.
You don't get them off. It's a little underrated classic. I think in about 10, 20 years, people are going to look back at that a lot fonder than what it was.
Most likely, a lot of those movies end up like that. And you're like, you know what? I really did actually like that flick.
Brothers did reach some boundaries of diversity, definitely.
But yeah, P, you asked the question, do you think that anything's going to change? The trajectory of the NBA Finals, the overall winners, do you think anything changes with this brief interruption, as it were?
No, I still think the Lakers are going to win. I think the Bucks maybe, as a whole, the team themselves may be more affected the next couple of days than other teams. It might give whoever they face a slight edge, but I definitely believe the Houston Rockets may be a little out of sync. I think CP3 and him are going to be. I think he's going to be fired up. I don't think that team's going to be distracted at all. I definitely believe the Bucks will be a little distracted. But we'll see. We'll see. I definitely believe it's going to start back up because they've been making so much money off the revenue now, off the restart. Everybody at home watching. They've been able to charge way more money on their contracts. It's a new contract they have for the bubble. And I noticed multiple networks are constantly airing multiple different games at the same time. They're having quadruple headers. They're losing a shit ton of money. When them boys did not play and ratings plummeted and those advertising agencies were like, "Yo, what's going on? We paid y'all because y'all gonna have the people watching." I believe that affected a lot of bottom lines, and so I definitely believe it's gonna start back up. They've been, and I believe that's why the owners, everybody is so proactive to say, "Okay, what do you guys want? What do you guys need?" Because they realize how much this is affecting their bottom line.
Yeah, there's been talks of a couple of the owners and the arenas that they normally would play in. They're turning them into giant voting polling places. So all of the voters that are in the neighborhoods where they're picking up mailboxes and picking up voter boxes and not letting them vote from home or not letting them vote by mail. They're turning. No, Atlanta's definitely one of them that is turning they're turning their arena into a giant polling place so people can come and have a place to vote.
Nice.
Yeah, I like that I think that's a positive step without question. If you want to avoid or you want to combat rather voter fraud, well, give people a safe place to vote.
And that's what I don't understand. Help me understand, Jimmy. Why tamper with the votes if we know the Electoral College makes the decision?
Because they still have to win the popular vote in each state to get the electors. So basically, this race is going to be much more hotly contested than Hillary was.
We hope.
It should be. And again, my biggest thing about it is that the president dude has been so divisive during a really trying time. 2020 has not been the easiest of years for anybody. And so for him to not embrace togetherness, for him to actually almost literally say the exact opposite of that, he's turning the country into an us versus them situation. And so literally we're going to find out how many of us and how many of them there are.
I'm gonna be real with you. I find it very hard to bet against him after the last election. Because I'm one of those people that thought he had zero chance of even getting a chance to be nominated. So I hope you're right. Like, I genuinely 100% hope you're right. But
and likewise.
Man, it's hard to bet against that guy, man. And I'm not saying I'm betting against him. It's just like,
to be optimistic about it is hard to find.
Yeah, man, because he just seems to keep coming out on top no matter what happens, and I'm betting against him. Don't get me wrong, I'm 100% betting against him, and I hope you're right. It's just, god dang, man, we don't catch a break with this guy.
Well, I mean, it's like you said earlier, he's got his cult following. And then the super, super duper nonsensically rich people are probably with him as well. Because he keeps saving them money.
Oh, yeah.
He keeps making them additional money. So it's everybody in between where we find out, like I said, us and them. We'll find out who is really about being human, being American, versus who's about being bigoted and racist, and we'll find out. Like, it'll be pretty clear.
So I take it the whole what's that chick's Miguel, whatever her name is, the chick that was messing with Epstein. I take it that whole thing has just died out. What's going on?
I mean,
something always comes up whenever we get, whenever there's a chance to take him down a peg. Something always comes up.
Yeah. And so the Ghislaine, is that who you're talking about, or however you say her name?
Yeah, whatever her name is. She was literally holding on to like all the evidence. She made all the copies of everything that Epstein had, all the ledgers, all the pictures, all the videos of everybody that was there on the island partaking in shit. And supposedly, she's been asked to withhold that as long as she can do so, and she will be protected by whoever goes in office next. That's why they were saying this race is so important, because whoever wins will be protected. Whoever doesn't, she's going to hang out to dry. And then the winner, of course, will protect her.
And that tells you that there are people from both sides in that evidence. Mm-hmm. That's exactly what that tells you. That there's both sides in there.
I mean, Bill Clinton was he rode with Epstein 25 or 26 times on his private jet. Like, I don't know.
Man, you know Clinton was down with it. If anybody was down with it, Bill was down with it. Like that guy was with it, man.
Yeah, like,
he was there.
You gonna bring me some of that young pussy?
He was there.
He was there. We know it. There's no way you're with the guy 25 times and you don't have no fucking clue.
You have no idea, right? Because I fly a lot and I haven't been on a plane 25 times with anybody.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Exactly. I won't even go as far as to accuse him of actually partaking, which he probably did too. But there's no way you didn't know.
Right.
100%.
Right. Yeah. That's like, West Coast and I have been places together, and if I got accused of something, and someone's trying to throw West Coast in, and he was like, I didn't know he was doing that. But, bro, really? You didn't know anything about this at all? Not even a hint of it, dog? Really?
I had no idea.
I had no idea he was kicking puppies.
I did not see him have sex with that woman.
Right.
I had no idea.
Okay. Sure. But yeah, so that was a big talk of what was going on with both sides. They're trying to keep her alive for one. Both sides are, because they kind of want whoever wins wants the other one to be hung out to dry, so that they can stake their claim to do more for their agendas. Kind of like, hey, look what they were doing, so sort of thing. But yeah, it's supposed to be a really, really important race just for that alone. They're literally fighting for their public lives. Not only that, but there's a lot of other celebrities and CEOs who are basically taking up sides as well to see, okay, who's going to have my back if you win, who's not, who's going to hang out to dry. So we see a lot of different people silently, so to speak, jumping ship.
Yo, my bad, West Coast. I brought up hoops, and now we talking about Bill Clinton watching Epstein have sex with a minor. Like, my bad. See what I'm
talking about? That's what happens when we unsupervised, man.
Right.
That's what happens.
Yeah, that hoop talk took a left turn.
I mean, we take left turns pretty consistently. I don't know if you've noticed that.
Yeah, I have.
Bro, did you notice that Chris Tucker was on that list on that plane on a trip to Africa they took for 2 weeks? Chris Tucker was with them the whole time. And notice how his career took a drastic turn, and he turned his life over to God and just like left Hollywood alone as much as he could. Interesting, to say the least.
No, it's all that's what I'm like, man. I bet you the bodies that she got, man.
Oh my God. She said she kept every copy, and he made her do that for insurance, just in case, thinking it would keep him alive and protected. But obviously, it kind of didn't work in his favor because they thought they got everything until they found out she kept everything, and now she's putting in place multiple, like the old if I disappear, these copies go out kind of thing. So supposedly she made the insurance policy ironclad to where, okay, you guys can suicide me all you want to. The moment I die, this shit is all over the place, bro. It's going to be flooded, like internet videos, like home videos of this man fucking kids. Like, no, it's like everyone,
It's on like some 24 villain stuff.
Yeah, bro. That's pretty much what they're saying she has done, which is why she has not mysteriously killed herself on their 24-hour watch, because she has multiple insurance policies from unknown entities that will release this information the moment something bad happens to her. And she's even said, if I go to prison for this, all of it's going out. And she's hanging out with everyone with her. So basically, she's threatening you put me in prison you want to. You know what I'm saying? Like
she just threatened the United States of America.
Yep. She's holding them by the balls, basically. Like, she's not going down alone, is all she's saying, So they're, like, really trying to, like, see who's going to win, who can protect her.
Man, she may as well go on and kamikaze the whole thing, because they going to get to her eventually. She might as well go ahead and kamikaze the whole thing.
Eventually. Someone with billions of dollars and, someone desperate, you'll always be able to get someone to do something. Everyone has a price.
Yeah, it's going to be on some House of Cards stuff. They're going to turn her.
Right, exactly. That too. So it's interesting to see, what's going on. But it's kind of like I saw a video. This guy talking. He's like, a lot of us in this country don't want to look at the bad things, don't want to look at the nasty things to clean it up. But that's what you got to do. Like when you move your refrigerator, you got to clean all that dirty shit. You got to see it. You got to sweep it up. You got to mop it. You got to clean it. And that's when okay, there's nothing bad underneath there anymore. You know what I'm saying? Everything's working out how it's supposed to be. The bad smell is gone. The stench is away now.
We can start over. Fresh start.
Like when you clean your fridge out, you got to get all that sticky stuff out of there, from whatever's in spilled and all that. So you got to look at it. And a lot of us in this country just don't want to look at it, even though it's there, and we know it's there. We just don't want to look at it, but we still want somebody else to come and clean it up.
Yeah, that's pretty much how America works. It's like it's a mess, but somebody will clean it.
Right, I just don't want to have to see it being cleaned up.
I don't want to see it.
I think it will do our country. I think that will bring us together and can start to. I believe, me personally, that someone like that releasing that kind of information to show how these people who are supposed to be noble, honorable, that are running our country, these celebrities who we idolize and praise, to have that veil slipped off, I think that will be something that starts the unity process of us coming together. I think it will stop a lot of the separation that is currently happening, because people will then see, ain't nobody safe. We're all being fucked.
Right, it'll give us a common enemy, as it were.
There you go. Give us all common ground to stand on, to say, hey, look, we don't have to go against each other. These are the motherfuckers we got to look what they've been doing and allowing to happen. All the while, behind the veil of their bullshit, they've been just running wild and just mistreating everyone.
The only thing that can unite two enemies is another enemy.
That's true.
Yep, that's pretty consistent. The enemy of my enemy is my friend. It's fairly consistent.
And I think that's something that I believe it's fucked up. That's even happening and it needs to be done. But I think it's something that like I said, it needs to be done. I think people need to see that veil slip to show that what you thought, is not what it is. Like how you thought these people were, it's not true at all. And I believe a lot of those people do need to be stripped of their public accolades and what have you. If they've been doing some fucked up shit, they deserve it. They deserve to be ostracized. They deserve to be, looked down upon.
That's fair.
I think it answered a lot of things, like a lot of questions as to why certain things have been allowed to go on. I think that evidence alone will show proof as to the amount of corruption and how much people are in each other's back pockets.
Well, damn. So now we've gone from Hoop to Epstein to, at this point, it really is time to go.
Yep.
So, Regular Scott, shout out to Money again. Let's go ahead and zip them up for us.
No doubt. Hollywood, West Coast, appreciate you boys having me on, man. This was a lot of fun. It's always a blast talking with you guys. We could chop it up for hours, I'm sure. This is a very easy conversation. Money, as always, shout out to you. Thoughts are with you. Check us out on Take a Knee for Marvel vs. DC. You can find us on Twitter at Knee for Marvel vs. DC. That's the number 4. You can email us at Knee for Marvel vs. DC at godefylife.com. And on this week's upcoming episode, we're going to be talking all about the DC fandom experience. We're going to break down a lot of the panels, not all of them. Some of them weren't worth breaking down. And there's a little teaser for that. And again, guys, appreciate you having me on. This is a lot of fun.
No doubt. Thank you for coming. Thank you for coming on and then stepping in. Like Money pulled the Kenny to Jet Smith and walked off in protest. So we appreciate having you on. Now, with that said, Hollywood Pete, go on and zip him up.
Hey man, I ain't got much to add on, man. This time for real. I just want y'all to, be kind to one another, be open-minded, stop picking up with nipples. That doesn't exist, okay? Stop falling for anything. You got a smartphone in your hand. Don't let your phone be smarter than you. Information's right at your fingertips. If you don't know something, stop assuming. Just look this shit up, okay? And try your best to research it to make sure you're discerning between what's real and what's not. That's just what I have. And, if you feel like wearing a mask is going to help you, wear that shit. You know what I'm saying? If you feel like it ain't, hey, it is what it is. A lot of us live like shit on a regular daily basis anyway, so you might be all right. But anyway, shout out to the first responders, people out there. Well, I shouldn't say the first responders. I should say the essential workers. Those of us who have been working and going this whole time, shout out to y'all. I know we can always look at others and judge them, but a lot of people don't have jobs, and you might think they're living a good life right now, but all good things come to an end eventually. So be empathetic, and that's all I got, man. Be kind to one another, and love each other, spread love, and definitely be open-minded. Just because something's not affecting you doesn't mean it's not affecting somebody else. Just be open. Let's see if it can always be you. That's all I got, man.
Well, there you go. I'll go ahead and echo your sentiments with shouting out all of the essential workers, everybody that's still out there on the front lines. COVID is still out there. It's still a thing. So when you're wearing your mask, remember that you're not just protecting yourself, you are also protecting others. That's pretty much the whole point of it. So wear your masks, be kind to other people, be excellent to one another. That's about all I got as well. Like I said, shout out.
Oh, and real quick, let's say real quick, shout out to Money, and thanks Regular Scott for joining us, man. I know it was last minute, you got late. I appreciate that, man. I really do. Keep keeping us going. Been real good, man.
Yeah, man.
No doubt.
Definitely.
No doubt.
Shout out to Uncle Ozzy Killmonger. We'll have you guys back on pretty soon anyway, because like I said, it's getting ready to become we're getting into crunch time for the election, and so it's about time to get Oz to start ranting about stuff.
He was watching the Republican convention as while we were recording this show. I was texting him, talking about it. And he was watching that, so yeah, he's looking forward to it.
Good. Looking forward to hearing from him. Other than that, you already know what I'm going to say. I'm about to steal the money line again. If you're not rocking with Defy Life, what is your life about? We out.
Best Medicine Podcast with Simba, sparking positive change in the community, having real conversations and therapy. And you know that laughter's the best remedy. Got that heavy dose of humor for your hearts to heal. With mental health, it can't get any more real, yeah. Best Medicine Podcast. Laugh, love, learn. Best Medicine Podcast.
Best Med Pod. It's your man Simba Roar back in this thing one more time, bruh. Come get your weekly diagnosis Thursday at midnight, only on the Defy Life Podcast Network. Check us out, though.